So it's a bit late at night to do the preview, but I'm doing this now because the review is still uploading. And when you do an hour review and you try to upload on YouTube and you have one of the slowest internet in the Bay Area, yeah, it obviously is going to take a very long time. And I doubt by the time I finish this, it will still be not finished uploading. Last time I checked, there's still 45 minutes left in terms of the upload of the review for MLS Matchweek number 10. But that being said, let's actually do the preview for the midweek games. So the good news for the midweek games this week is that we have 4 games, and all of them will be taking place right around the 4 to 5 o'clock my time schedule, around 7 and 8 o'clock in the East Coast. And pretty much every single of these games are either in East Coast time or Central time, so most likely I get a chance to do this a little bit early. The bad news is, though, since most of these games are like around 4 to 5 o'clock, I probably are not going to be getting out of school that early. I usually get back probably around 5 o'clock, so I'm definitely going to miss some action in terms of this one and also in terms of these games. And also, since these are so bunched up, that means that I'm going to have a time where I have to focus 4 games at a time. And this happened on last time when I had 5 midweek games, and that I had to focus 3 games at a time, and that was not a really good idea, and I didn't really cover that much. So expect a review of this midweek action on Wednesday to not be as in-depth as you would see in terms of the weekend action. But yeah, let's jump into it right now, and we start off with Atlanta take on TFC. So Atlanta is 3-2-3, while TFC is 5-1-2. Atlanta, of course, won 3 of their last 4 games, while TFC won 2-0 against Orlando City away. In terms of injuries and suspension, George Bello, Kratz, Ambrose, and Vasquez are all out for this game. And I put international duty on this one too because Ezequiel Barco, as I mentioned in the review, he is now going to be joining the Argentine U20 team for the U20 World Cup, and I have also heard that he have just left the team, so he will not be available in this game, and that's a huge loss for Atlanta too, because Barco has really been the spark plug for this team in terms of this kind of mini good runs that they are on. Well, for TFC, they do have 2 guys that are questionable. Drew Moore and also Josie Altidore is going to be questionable in this game, although for TFC, they definitely want Altidore to be back in this game because it feels like they really miss Altidore in these last 2 games. Now, what's interesting about this game is that, TFC obviously never lost to Atlanta. Last time they played each other, TFC absolutely demolished Atlanta 4-1, and that was when Atlanta were kind of approaching the playoffs, and albeit they were kind of like in a little bit down in terms of form, and TFC was just trying to do anything to prevent Atlanta from breaking the points record, which they did, but the problem is they didn't prevent the Red Bulls, who eventually broke the total amount of records point that an MLS team has got in a single season. And the other interesting thing is both of these teams have some big weekend games too. For TFC, they got to play against the Union at home on the weekend, and that should be a very tasty matchup considering the fact that the Union is leading the Eastern Conference and look like the most fun team to watch out of the entire league. While for Atlanta, they get to play against Orlando City, and although it's a bit of a one-sided kind of rivalry, Orlando City are definitely going to be up for and try to beat Atlanta for the first time. So yeah, I won't say this is kind of like a trap game for both of these teams coming into the weekend series, but in some way, I think this should be a very interesting match. And obviously, I do worry about Atlanta, the fact that they don't have Barco in there. They need another player to step up, and you would think the other player that should be stepping up would be Pity Martinez. We're already now into a quarter of the season, and Pity Martinez still have not shown anything that kind of shown that he is worth the price tag that Atlanta got. So this is definitely a good opportunity for him to show that. And for TFC, they get Altidore back in this game, then yeah, they have a really good chance to potentially win this game, because with Pozuelo and Altidore, that deadly combination, yeah, that is going to be good enough in order for them to potentially get all 3 points against Atlanta. And keep in mind, Atlanta has not been very good so far this season at home. But that being said, let's move on into the next game, which is Columbus versus the Galaxy. So Columbus, of course, have lost 5 in a row. They finally broke the goal scoring drought in the last game against DC United, but technically they haven't broke it because the goal that they scored in the last game against DC United was basically an own goal. Although to be fair, they kind of also broke it if it wasn't for that botch call in the first half where they probably should have got that goal and probably should have been 1-0 up against DC United if the referee, of course, didn't call it back and also get in the way in terms of the play. Well, for the Galaxy, obviously they suffered their second loss this season against the Red Bulls during the weekend. And in terms of injuries and suspension, as I mentioned before, Valenzuela out for the season, and so is Afo. And it seemed like both of these injuries has took a major hit to the crew, because these two players are probably the best fullbacks that we have got so far in the league. And with both of those fullbacks, especially Valenzuela being a DP player that's out for the season, you can see that this Columbus team, with the way that Caleb Porter need to kind of like change the system a little bit because of these two players are kind of out for injury, you can see it started to take a little bit hit off of this Columbus team. Well, for the Galaxy, they also have some back-breaking injury. Perry Kitchen and Alice Andrini, of course, will be out. Alice Andrini will be out until September, and the only guy that is questionable for the Galaxy will be Araujo. So, I think the Galaxy, they should be able to win this because Columbus, they are definitely not in a very good form, and unless if they cannot find their scoring touch, I think the Galaxy should have enough in this game to win that, and they certainly want to use this game as a way to bounce back after that disappointing loss against the Red Bulls, but we shall see. But next up is Chicago. So they play against New England. Chicago is 2-4-4, while New England is 2-2-7 and are dead last in the Eastern Conference. New England, of course, have gave up 13 goals in the last 3 games, and somehow they actually didn't lose all 3 of those games. They actually draw 1 and lost the other 2. Obviously, New England are fresh off that 6-1 beatdown that they suffer against Philly over the weekend. Well, for Chicago, they were very brave over the weekend and got a gutsy 0-0 draw against LAFC away. And in terms of the injury and suspension for Chicago, Reynolds, Raheem Edwards, Marcelo are all out, and Herbert is the only guy that is going to be questionable for Chicago. For New England, the only guy that is going to be out for them is going to be Aking. But, when you look at this matchup, I think for Chicago, this is a good opportunity for them to get all 3 points. New England is clearly struggling right now, and this team has started to become like a meme and in some way become a joke of the MLS. So for the Fire, they need to take advantage of that, and hopefully this is a game where we saw it so far this season with the Chicago Fire. When they play against weak teams, there's sometimes that they actually showed up and actually show kind of show that they can, of course, just roll over those weak team. I mean, they play against the Colorado Rapids earlier in the season, and they absolutely destroyed them. And New England, although I wouldn't say, I kind of want to compare them to the Rapids because in some way, both teams, they can't defend. But at the same time, at least Colorado can score goals. While New England, they do have Casado being kind of like the main goal scorer and kind of being in form, but that's the only goal scorer that they really have that are kind of like banging the goals. So, yeah, I think for Chicago, they should be able to win this game. If they don't get 3 points in this game, it's going to be very frustrated for them. And, yeah, moving on, in the final match of this weekend is the Red Bulls. So they play against Montreal. So the Red Bulls, of course, are 3-2-4, while Montreal is 5-2-4. As I mentioned before, the Red Bulls beat the Galaxy 3-2 at home, handing the Galaxy only the second loss of this season. While Montreal, of course, lost 2-0 against NYCFC, and actually, it shouldn't say away. It actually should have said at home. actually lost to them at home. But in terms of the injury and suspension for the Red Bulls, obviously Valid is out for the season. BWP is going to be questionable in this game. I haven't seen BWP in this team for a while, and I'm not quite sure would they want to risk it and potentially put him in there for this game. I mean, so far BWP this season, he has really struggled in terms of scoring goal. This is probably the worst start I have seen BWP gone in, where he's only got 1 goal so far in the first 10 games. Well, for Montreal, Karlicki and Behar is going to be out for this game, but most importantly, Nacho Piatti is still out for this game, and I did try to search some reports on the fact that is Piatti going to be ready and be match fit in this game, and the answer is no. So this is going to be another game where Montreal is going to have to try that bunker style play on the road, and so far they've been pretty successful with those bunker style and the way that they've been able to get resort on the road. And I feel like they've been doing this better in terms of this bunker style play on the road than they do at home. So yeah, don't be surprised if Montreal can get something out of this. I mean, for the Red Bulls, they definitely need to try to keep this momentum going. I mean, you know, they beat the Galaxy over the weekend. That certainly is kind of an emotional win, but now they're going to have to regroup each other, and the fact that they have to play against a Montreal team that they're going to have to find a way to break down. And one of the things that I think the Red Bulls has always have problems in the past couple of seasons is that they always have problem against bunker team, which this also makes me think that Montreal could potentially get a result, because as long as they bunker and as long as the Red Bulls need to break team down, then most likely the team that's going to bunker is going to have a chance to win. The Red Bulls, they need to have some creativity going forward. If they can break down this Montreal bunker, which is probably the best in the league. Like, nobody in the league bunker and being a good low block team than what Montreal is so far throughout this season. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for all the preview of these 4 games. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of these 4 games, and let me know in the comments below of the prediction of these 4 games. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.